into PianoTexas since I think it started. Oh, microphone. So just clip it. Is everyone hearing me okay, or is better to do the?
You have to do it for the streaming.
I have. Oh.
Yeah, you need a microphone for the live stream.
That's I forgot. Yes. So I clip and push. Yes. I found the button. Something exploded on the other side of the world. It works, yeah? All right, good. So now I am KGB agent with this 1975 device. So, Rex, and again for the stream, then I would have to interview you, and I have to stay this way so you can turn around so everyone can look at you. And I will be doing this. So, when did you come first to the, I think it was Van Cliburn at that time, wasn't it? Or it was already PianoTexas? Van Cliburn.
The Cliburn Institute.
I'm staying right here, yes, sir.
The Van Cliburn Institute, when I started. Mike Brunoff was here at that time. He and I started at the very same time.
Was it the first year?
No.
Second? Third,
No.
somewhere?
It had been going several years
Several
before
years,
I started. This is the 40th year, and this is the 21st year I've been. So it was 21st year.
Yeah, because amateur program was added later. It wasn't starting.
I don't know. I
I
don't know. Tomasz knows that answer.
Yeah, you probably came here the very early, maybe like first or second year of the amateur program.
Probably.
Yeah, so you've been coming here for 21 years.
Yes.
And you saw me growing from this, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
To what it became.
I saw you grow into the hearts of a lot of people, Igor.
It's going to be a Kumbaya masterclass. No, but the thing is that what I would have to say, not just to be complimentary, which I should, but I'm not. So the thing is that being here for quite a while also, and I think I was here a student when the amateur program just kind of started also. And I got involved with, at that time it was completely foreign to me, the amateur world of pianists. Coming from Russia, it has to be professional. So at that time, now it's changing, which I believe it's a wonderful thing, but at that time it was you either professional or just, find something better to do. And it wasn't, there is a level of, that art deserves, and anything below that level is, just play in your room, don't tell anybody. And that attitude changed, but at that time it wasn't. So for me, it was completely new thing, just adults playing piano. Do they have anything better to do? But that didn't last long, because immediately I started to appreciate the whole energy behind it. And I was like, that's actually better than kids who we don't know what's going to happen with them, if they're going to continue or not. Here you have grown-up people who love it and have passion for it and cannot get enough of it. So I got quickly involved with few adults, so to say, in Fort Worth area. And then that whole program, I think, Institute started it first, and then Van Cliburn competition had their first competition for the amateurs. So I immediately embraced it, because I thought this is such a wonderful cultural phenomena that, and then of course if you look at the 1800s amateurs, thank you. So music lovers who wanted really professional, taking lessons, supporting composers and helping. So, but in general, so that's a wonderful thing. And then since then, I've been an advocate for non-professional musicians. And also it gives my students, the younger ones, when you have to talk to parents and tell them what's the future, because parents always worry about, I'm taking my son or my daughter taking lessons. Are they improving after like 5 minutes of lesson? So, and then what is the outcome? What is the future of it? And because they know they want to push their kids before they go to college, but when the kids go to college, most of them don't go to music. So in a way, for kids themselves when they grow, and for parents, they kind of don't see what's going to happen later. Think, well, I'm learning it until I'm going to college, and that's it. And I'm telling them, wait a minute. There's a whole world of non-professional musicians once your kid is out of college. So your investment into his music education right now is not going to be wasted. If your kid is competitive and playing on a high level, that means later that kid, when he turns or she turns 35 years old, when climbing for outstanding amateurs is right there. There are a bunch of other competitions, there are festivals, and it's as such a dimension in the adult life, which becomes sometimes predictable, boring, or just busy the same, and it's just an escape from it. So that kind of opens up their mind to see that that's not the end before the kids go to college. So they encourage kids to keep the music at least as minor, and many of them double major in music and something else. So that whole perception of what happens once you're non-professional, you don't go to music as profession, I think changed. And you see the amateurs level, first of all, is rising. Younger generation is entering. You saw it. First you were coming here, it was real, we call it real amateurs. The ones that didn't have strong training, but love music and they want to just want to play it because they like it, and they were just like doing whatever, but they enjoying it. So we had to start to groom a little bit, so like you cannot do this and you cannot do that nicely. So, and after so many years, it's kind of opens up. But right now you have young generation of strong players entering that space, which is again amazing. So it keep growing. So Rex is real amateur. What was your training?
I have a master's in accounting, and I've cheated a lot of people out of money.
That helps.
I worked for the Veterans Administration. I did financial management for about 20 years, taking care of veterans, hospital management.
And how did you learn piano? Did you have a teacher?
Well, I had a teacher when I was 13. I watched Liberace on TV, and I thought I liked that. So I heard the sounds of classical music for the first time in my life over TV in 1952 or 3 in Oklahoma, a little town I lived in. All we heard was country, hillbilly type guitars and fiddles. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, when I heard Liberace, I knew there was a different type of music out there, that it just hit me in my heart. And I told my parents I want to get a piano, and we couldn't afford a piano. So they really scraped up $50, bought an old piano, and I started playing it. And
found local teacher?
Had a teacher, and the first year, at the end of the first year, I was playing Chopin preludes.
Already in 1 year?
Yeah, in the first year.
And before you didn't play piano at all?
No, I didn't. And then I quit for 35 years.
So you had only 1 year of lessons?
I had about 4 years in high school.
4 years of lessons.
And then I took 1 semester in college of piano. The professor there, he wanted me to major in piano, and I said, I can't make a living in piano. So I've got to get in business or something. So then I went to Albuquerque. I had a couple of years lessons with Ralph Berkowitz, who was the dean at Tanglewood for several years, and he was the manager of the Albuquerque Symphony, a wonderful pianist and teacher. And I studied with him for 2 years, and then we moved, started my career, my new career. I had another one, but this is the latest one. And we moved all over, hauling that Baldwin Grand around with us in U-Haul trailers. And then when I retired at 58 in 1997, I said, I'm going to start playing piano again, and I went and got lessons. Now I have a professor at Belmont, Christian Cliffstead. He's a wonderful teacher, and he's helped me a lot along with you. and other people here at PianoTexas. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity to come here, and just really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's the thing is that for me it was interesting to see the journey, because being a musician, as you know, doesn't matter if you're professional, non-professional, you're constantly improving, struggling with what you can and what you cannot, and try to improve and your weak sides. So, and with Rex, it was interesting to see, because the evolution of his playing, evolution of his sound production, tone changed dramatically. If you were just immediately had an opportunity right now to move back about 15, 16 years ago, Rex didn't play as well as he's playing now. So his sense of balance between melodic material that is singing now and keeping under control his secondary voices, which are important, but they're secondary. So his perception of the balance is now he's listening with open ears. That shaping melodic horizontal aspect of what we do with the sound is also, I mean, at least in this piece, it shows, and I already saw you over a period quite a few years, how your playing was improving. And again, for professional ear, it's before you go to even the expressive side and something that is ethereal, hard to grasp, we go basically specifically. Left hand is too loud, right hand accent on the short note after long. You cannot do this, you miss that. I mean, and then you have to look at this, because this is Picasso. Rex marks everything to make sure that he remembers. He color codes them, and he's been doing this for years. And actually, it's less than it used to be. So he's lightening up the writing, which is a good thing, because that means you see more in the score, you don't need the reminders. So, and it's very thorough work. And your performance today, I thought I will be talking about certain things, but then you kind of played well, and I said, well, I have nothing else to talk about. Let's talk about history of you. Now, the thing is that your sense of balance between this nice, deep, rich, harmonic left hand and the beautiful singing melody was perfect. So it was just, I wouldn't adjust anything.
Thank you.
I would suggest a few things, which will be more of the subjective, not that you missed something or you haven't done this, or make sure that you do that. Technically, you handle it very well. I was waiting for that middle section, those double notes. He's going to fail those.
That's the hardest part.
Right, and you just kind of flow through that, and it was nicely done. So and then also, I thought, I mean, as you start playing, it's like, okay, all right, so left hand after first measure, it's going. So that means, okay, so he's in control. So I start listening to the melody, and your balance between the melody and right hand light accompaniment, so to say, was nicely done also. And you want to just bring the melody just to bring out. It was nicely singing, it has nice rich tone, and you shaped it very well. And expressively, I would say you being an emotional guy as you are, which is a wonderful thing for musicians, because that's what we connect with music emotionally, express these emotions through dynamics and time. But you chose not to be too sappy. So your tempo choice is good. So I could see that it could go with more flexible tempo a little bit, but that would be just my version, my thinking versus yours. You kept it expressive, you kept it emotional, but you didn't alter your tempo too much. Just enough so it's tasteful. So it's a very good performance. I wouldn't change anything. If I could suggest something to maybe look into it, since you have such a good control on your touch right now, is to possibly highlight some voices that you maybe want to thinking about. What you're doing well in your accompanimental voice, every time it rises up, most of the times you feel that nice waved shape. That's good. By the way, for viewers who watching us online, we follow CDC guidelines. We don't have to wear masks if we're fully vaccinated, and our university allows us to do that, so it's our choice. So we've been vaccinated. Pfizer, Moderna?
Pfizer.
Yeah, Sputnik?
I'm old. I got vaccinated in January.
Oh, January, that's right, yeah, good. Me, it's like about a month ago. So we're good, so we're doing it, we're following the protocol, so, because if people still watching, it's like, oh, what are they doing? So he's like, microphone, 6 feet, where is it? So, so that's that. And beautiful rises and falls in the bass line, excellent. Make sure that you hear it every time, because sometimes you start to be, you listen in the melodic material, obviously.
I have a question about the beginning of this piece.
Mm-hmm.
He's marked it double pianissimo.
Yes.
But when I hear this played by several people, I hear them coming in here with maybe an MF or
Yeah.
an F, and then
Yeah.
they quieten down here. What would be your opinion about that?
The thing is that my opinion would be try to stay close to what is written in the score.
That's what I tried to do.
Right, and you did a beautiful work. And yes, I would start myself also with a little bit more sound, but probably more of the mezzo piano. I wouldn't make it as deep as a lot of performers do. But then he creates such a huge contrast between that light, distant, bell-like bass and the harmony in the back, and then singing and crying melody on its own, without much support of the, or not being enveloped by the harmony, or being supported by the harmony as close in terms of the sound. So I would keep that gap wider.
Do you think he wrote this as an expression of his depression from being kind of treated the way he was treated, and then the takeover and all that?
I would think so, because the
But
thing.
it's like you start out depressed and you express it, and then you get a glimmer of hope.
Right.
When you come into this part here,
Mhm.
and you say, yeah, it's a positive future, it's coming about.
Doesn't last too long.
But then you fall back into that depression state, and then you get very angry. You get very mad.
Mhm.
And you go through here just charging. You're just so mad you want to kill somebody, and stop it, and then you come into that.
Mhm.
You think that's what his mind was thinking? Or-
This we can only guess, but that would be probably the close thinking, because I wouldn't think he wanted to kill somebody there. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, I use that, you know.
Maybe himself. That would be the thing, is that
And then at the end, he gives up and just flashes.
kind of the hell with that. Yes.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this piece speaks for itself. So in terms of interpretation, it's hard to miss what the message is. Message of loneliness at first and at the end, and then a little glimpse of hope or how wonderful it was. That's the middle section. And then there are two climaxes. One in the middle section, one, as you say, is just completely, disagree and just being angry. You maybe not know what. And at the end, it's basically just going down the cliff. So the message is clear, and it's done so well. And so if I were to not even change, but look into a few things, then, and you will try more than I will be demonstrating. What I would look into is, again, increasing that space between the I'm using two hands just to make it easy. So for the first phrase, what you can try to do, and that would be, I don't think it will be difficult for you anymore, because I would say 10 years it would be, but right now not, to keep your left hand in such a kind of area that it's it's not here. It's somewhere in the distance. Later, left hand will contribute to climaxes and making this ample sound. But if Rachmaninoff chose to have pianissimo, and if that is his true marking, which I believe it is, then he really wanted that polarized dynamic when it's, and you can hear that without switching your attention on the bass. Somehow be able to hear that long note, which is not easy, over that measure and 3 quarter beats. I mean, that's actually, it's a measure in 2 quarter, in 1 quarter, so it's technically 5 quarters for the for that long note and just staying there. So I would keep a wide balance, and also that bass line, because technically, if you think about it, if you look at the left hand by itself, it's just playing the bass by itself already tells you, well, that's the final bell, if you will. So, and then he does have this bass line later when you have, for me, second page. It's right here. And you highlighted them. But that creates a separate line which can coexist with the melodic material and do not really bother it. Because it echoes the melodic line. So that bass line, you could imagine the bell, because Rachmaninoff and bells, they have some kind of connection. He emulated their image in a lot of his pieces. So why don't you play just left hand only, and see if you, the first phrase, when up to there, right, and just the left hand, and see if you can keep it with kind of nice and deep, but not too loud, the bass, and then keep it lighter, keep it lighter, softer. That's all right. Still a flat, right here. Still a flat, still a flat. So that crescendo will be only in the melody. Left hand kind of stays. Very good. It's actually very good control. You only had few notes that were slightly sticking out and you immediately heard them. Very good. You didn't have that touch 15 years ago. That's excellent. Can you try again? And that's the hardest touch. To play consistently and be lightly, it's one of the hardest technique on the instrument. Keep it light. Listen, Mike.
You came in too early.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Start again.
Yeah. If I did, we'll forget about this. C flat, C flat, C flat, C flat, C flat. Right. So it will take time because it's a hard technique to play with consistent light touch. Just there are so many pieces that are written for the instrument that start with this light pianissimo, and it's okay. I mean, this is still doable because it goes at a slower pace. There are faster pieces like Ravel. He likes to start with extremely light, with rather moving tempo and light touch. Those are the killers. It's just hard to adapt to the instrument sometimes. So that would be my suggestion. Anything that is not aiming for the real climax, and when you see pianissimo written for as a general dynamic or specifically for the left hand, I would try to find that lighter touch without losing the depth.
Igor, would that be relative to each section here? You wouldn't keep it at that same level all the way through. You'd bring it up.
Of course, yeah. Right. Once the second phrase comes, you're gonna raise your dynamic a little bit more. It's only in the first phrase and probably in the closing page.
Right.
So otherwise, and plus in the right hand in the middle section. So that could be also something without losing, of course, the depth. It's always a problem playing pianissimo and playing superficially. It's when it's becomes superficial sound without any depth core in it, and when it's just too much core and then there is no that pianissimo, this beautiful ethereal sound. And I mean, professional musicians always struggle. It's safer to play deeper into the keys, especially if you're in a bigger hall. You often project a little bit more, and then real pianissimo goes to the recording studio and it's not make it to the stage. But right now, I mean, you only had 2 attempts. You have to spend days doing it. Once you're comfortable with that sound or that touch, then I would make the bass line a little bit deeper because it has to sound like that bell that you hear somewhere in the distance. And it's
hard to play quietly if you go all the way to the deep in the key, isn't it? I mean, you go deep in the key, you get louder noise. Louder sound.
Technically, it doesn't matter if we're playing soft or bright, we go just as deep, yeah? Because I can jump up and down, it's already there. So, no, it's an illusion that we're not playing all the way to the bottom, or to the bed of the key. We do, both times, except we don't go into the key with the same acceleration. So if your acceleration is fast, you get a bright sound.
What if you touch the key first and then
you
go down?
If you know the instrument, you could, yes. Yeah, you have to know the instrument, because if it's your instrument at home, yes, you can just lay there and just sink in. You know how the instrument responds, so that can work. But I would just think about that polarized dynamic between the absolute, that tragic, yet almost like it's not present, but it's in the air sound, and then this just absolutely lonely, weeping kind of, outcry within certain kind of, balance and proportions, which you have. You don't lose the sense of long phrase. So you're good. Now, the things that I would also suggest you to look into for you it will be, I think, after that climax on the second page, when you have this, which you did very well. You did not play these chords vertically. You were shaping them. It was well done. So I was waiting for that. I thought, well, where's he gonna, do something that, and you did a good job shaping them, because it's very easy to just switch to, and then it satisfies your need for anger there. But for us as listeners, we just listen in this chopped up phrase. So now after that, when you have I would bring this low voice, especially as it continues. It-
well as the top.
The top still stays, but you want to give, I would give more priority to the bottom voice here. Right, very good. Yeah, this guy got some skills. Can you try that? Very-
Sorting.
Just right hand for now.
Yeah.
You can go from there, just right hand. Just the right hand. F natural. And then start to focus on the low voice. F, then C flat a little bit more, then B flat. And then F.
But it's not supposed to be.
Right, it has to be at the same time. You would have to work on this. Yeah, keep going. Still low voice. Then shape it. D flat. Right. It will bring a little bit more depth into that sixth interval because the melodic material been already heard multiple times and we will hear it anyway. You're not gonna get rid of it, but bringing that low voice will create this nice depth of this sixth, and it's just gonna make it a little more dramatic. Excellent job on the middle section. Good tempo, you maintained it. You didn't blink, that was good. And then very nicely done left hand. So I wouldn't touch anything. So could it be a little bit more, could it be a little less? It doesn't matter. You're doing an excellent job with that. So I also want to congratulate you on doing a good job, and you and your teacher in combination. This rise of, to the climax, you were really listening to voices there instead of basically going with the flat chordal playing. That was well done. So where I would suggest a little bit more, and this transition, and again, that is totally subjective. You were a little bit straightforward in terms of the tempo there for me, for my taste. You played.
Too fast.
It wasn't too fast. It was right, but for me, I would cry a little bit more.
Cry more.
Yeah. So you were doing. It was tastefully done. I just think after what happened when you have and then really just descend into that deep pianissimo. I would say after the way you play especially, because you don't borrow too much time, you go forward, which is a good thing. You don't, what is the word, schmaltz around?
Should that be coming down or maintaining that triple F all the way through?
You're talking about.
Come down written because I've heard it coming down rather than.
I would definitely reduce the sound, but it's not going to be reducing down to piano.
It doesn't change. It
Right,
never changes even to there.
Right. So when it doesn't change, I mean, musicians know that you have to do something with the sound, otherwise it will sound obnoxious. Look at his last etude in Etude Tableau Opus 33. He mostly has bright dynamic, extreme, fortissimo, 2 fortes, 3 fortes. I think there is one mezzo forte there. There was no single mezzo piano or piano in that etude. So musicians adjust, yeah.
Yeah, it's a personal issue whether you don't play it that way.
That's true, but also at the same time you have to honor what Rachmaninoff wanted. He wanted to keep it full. So within that full sound, even though it says fortissimo, it's not only the sound volume, it's also that intensity of expression. So
Well, he does drop it to here.
Yeah, but
It drops, but not much.
3/4 and 2/4, it's like for Siberians, it's minus 50 Celsius versus minus 40 Celsius. I mean, you're frozen. So, I mean, yes, he does adjust this. It's 3/4 down to 2. But it's in such extreme, because if you think about dynamic range, forte is an elevated dynamic. Fortissimo is extreme dynamic. 3/4 is very extreme dynamic. So once you go to the extreme level, it's very hard to range in that space. It limits you. So, but regardless, you do have to figure out, otherwise it will sound on the instrument, which is a percussive instrument, ultimately. When you go to certain bright dynamic, it just starts to sound obnoxious. It's just too much loud for too long. It's the same. If the orchestra plays 3/4, you can enjoy this for pages, because the sound is different, the sound production is different. In non-percussive, it has this, different kind of life. But we smack and it smacks. So it's we don't hear overtones in fortissimo as much. So yes, you have to adjust. Yes, I would not diminuendo down to piano here. But the thing is that here it's a decision making. You after this, what do you do? Because this is a climax. You said you're angry.
You need a dramatic change.
Yes, you came to that stop point, and you pretty much just you're dissatisfied. Expressively, I would say you disagree. Well, then after that you realize you're the only one in the room who you disagree with. So, and at that point you have to return. So that transition is extremely important in terms of the expressive bridge to coming back to, well, you can scream as much as you want, but you're the only one who's listening. So how to do it? For my taste, you went a little bit too, I wouldn't call it drive-through, but it was a little easy.
Slow it down, go through like a...
Yeah.
And then come back in.
I would. And at first, again, if you look at this, how he wrote it, you're searching for the exit, if you will. I mean, you don't know where you're going to end up. If you hear this piece for the first time, you don't know what's coming, yeah? After this next one going up. It could have continued up, yeah?
You can re-gone with the wind there in the middle.
Right. Can you try that? So I would be more generous with time, because he was so well controlled in your tempo rubato before that and after. So here you can allow yourself to. And then listen to silence. No, listen to silence. No, let's go back. That rest has to speak. No, but that should be softer. And then less. Don't think about the next thing. Just enjoy that silence, because you're the only one in that silence. You have to bring that intense. No, softer that. Let's go back. No, a little crescendo, and then softer. Wait. See, even physically, you're getting ready for the next. Don't get ready for the next, just enjoy that silence. And I put in this score a little fermata over those rests. You can take a little bit more time. Wait. No, you don't want to do this. Let me show you. What you're doing. Look at me. You're already ready to go, yeah? For the next one. No, you actually have to play the rest. And playing the rest, it means you're not getting ready for the next. Look at me, look at me. I could have went this way. Could have went anyway. So that unpredictability of what's going to happen, those rests have to sound. The way for them to sound, which is again, we dilute in ourselves, we imagine it. But if you just keep your hands where you played that previous little phrase, just stay there and listen that absolute vacuum that start to sound. Then you make a decision to continue to the next. It's like you're making it on the spot. You're creating it on the spot. You don't know what's going to happen. You only know when it's how to continue, where to continue at the end of that rest. You're making a decision at the last moment. And you have to act it out. Stay there. Wait, stay there. Dead. Look back, don't look forward. Oh, silence, silence. No. Look, still listen the previous. You don't know what's going to happen yet. Go ahead. Stay here. That. You don't know what's going to happen. You still don't know. You longing, and then. Exactly. Yeah. So it's extremely dramatic. It's not very bright in dynamics, but it's extremely powerful transition. The last thing you want to do is to go through it exactly on time. How much time to take? It will depend on how convincing your sound is and what kind of flow. But if you want to make a rest sound, you do not want to. First of all, you don't want to think about the next. Of course, you know it, but you don't want to prep yourself for the next too soon. It's the same thing when you're playing. No. Sorry. I thought I won't remember it. So you can make those rests sound by stretching them a little bit, but also your attention has to stay or live through that silence. That's when the silence it starts to sound, basically, if you will. So for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. But in general, otherwise, it's a beautiful performance, great work, excellent control on the sound, because that takes a good control on technique, because it's not easy. So just those few little points, see if you want to explore the balance in pianissimo in few places, inner voice in the 6 intervals, that transition, extremely important. And then you have a good ending on the next page, everything is...
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you like me to wear a mask or would you like me not?
This doesn't matter.
You sure? Because I can be, I'm very comfortable. I have it right in my pocket. That's all right. That's okay. Do you want me to write this or you don't want me to? All right, thank you. So you're playing in that order, D minor first, and then D major second, or the other way around? No, just play both. Yeah, just before. Beautiful performance. Now, you should tell everybody about you, who you are. You are amateur teacher?
I'm a teacher.
Yeah, I would say you are a teacher. I can spot a teacher, but sometimes amateurs can deceive you. But in general, you teach. So if you could tell, and if you don't mind, if you want to speak into the microphone.
Yeah, sure. What do you want?
Where are you from? How many years you've been playing piano? And you have a studio and anything.
Hi, I'm Wen Ling. I'm original from Malaysia. I'm Malaysia Chinese. I live at Frisco, Texas. It's about an hour from here. So I have a home studio. I teach students and mainly beginner to intermediate and early advanced student. And I also have some adult student. My oldest student is 73 years old. That made me proud. Trying to bring her here one day, but
One day.
one day.
Right. So you have few adult students as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. Sometimes I enjoy teaching adults a little bit more than young people because adults are curious more.
Yeah.
They ask questions like, which edition do you use? Oh, well, yeah, let me, you start to make a smart face if you don't know the answer. But, amateur musicians is like, guys, they're scientists. Yeah, they make you kind of like keeping you on your toes as teachers because they excellent. So, and you keep playing the piano. How many years did you study in Malaysia?
When I was young, about 5 or 6, and then I did my degree, my undergrad in Malaysia, and my master and doctorate in U.S. here.
All in music.
On piano pedagogy.
Piano pedagogy, excellent. Well, excellent. Thank you. So, I will just give you few just general comments, and then we'll look at a few specifics. It's always debatable playing music that is not written for the modern fortepiano, and you as a teacher know you probably deal with this all the time. What do we do with dynamics and what do we do with pedal, yeah?
Yes, that's what I'm...
So where are you standing? Because you're my colleague. So we're going to have a conversation for the benefit of everybody. So you as a piano teacher, how do you handle anything that is written prior fortepiano literature and we playing on a modern instrument? First of all, your opinion, do you think that piano actually improves the sound of those pieces, gives them more opportunity, or you still think playing them on original instruments has more value than bringing them into the modern instrument kind of environment? What is your take?
I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I like the harpsichord way of playing. I like the harpsichord sound, but for the fast Scarlatti or the fast song, fast baroque piece is that we can tell that we don't need a lot of pedals, it's a lot of fingers, right? But for the slow one, it make my mind crazy to think about it. Should I put more pedal? Because on the harpsichord, it did vibrate quite a lot, but how much do I need to put the pedal? When I put the pedal, should I make it full? But on the harpsichord, actually the sound is not full, but they just vibrate. And how long should I press it? On one single note or for the quarter note?
The longevity of the sound on the harpsichord is different. Have you ever measured the longevity of ding on the harpsichord and bing on the piano? I did.
So how long?
Big difference. The ding doesn't last too long. The bing lasts longer. Yeah. So basically, you deal exactly with the same issue. How much pedal should be used in Baroque literature or literature of that period? Should we use pedal or not? And then the next thing, well, dynamics. What is your understanding, take, opinion on that literature and dynamics?
Well, obviously, when we look at the music,
It's a quiz.
obviously, when you look at the music, there's no dynamics at all. But you can tell that a lot of repetition. They always play the first time and repeat the second time. I would like it to be a little bit like contrast, like loud and soft, or maybe soft and loud.
Yeah.
As I understand, I think harpsichord can make some difference on the dynamics when you hit it louder or when you play it soft.
Yeah, with harpsichord you can pull certain. Yeah, very good. We interview each other. You know, I can just sit outside the evening with with two pianists. So yes, on harpsichord you can have drastic change in dynamic. So you have, I don't forget what they call them. So you actually can control the dynamic bright and light fairly easily. So, but then we have an instrument that is capable of graded dynamic versus fixed dynamic. So on harpsichord, you get more notes sounding at the same time and gives impression of fuller sound. You have fewer notes, it gives impression of the lighter sound. And then that sudden shift in dynamic through the levers. So, and that's pretty much what harpsichord offers. So it offers more of the subito contrast. And on the piano we can do subito contrast, but at the same time we have graded dynamic, which is gradual capability. So how do you reconcile with those two for yourself? I'm making my job so much easier, just asking questions.
Oh.
You're a teacher, so that's why I'm...
Sometimes, you know, because it's a baroque music that use a lot of scale. Whenever the scale going up, I would like to have a little bit more crescendo. When the scale going down, I like to have a little bit like decrescendo. End of the phrase, a little bit decrescendo. Resolution from the dissonant.
Yes,
I like it to be a
lighter.
little lighter.
So-
Do I answer your question?
Yes, you did, because we are in the same team. So basically, the idea with the instrument, and I'm sure everyone guys, if you played Baroque music or the music of that period, playing on the mother instrument and try to make this instrument completely sound as harpsichord is impossible. So since we using this, so we might as well embrace the capability of graded dynamic. Now the question is how much? It's all about the proportions. So playing on this instrument, we're already violating basically a style of that. So the sound environment is different. So we might as well just say we're already breaking rules. So from that point, how much more we can break them? So pedal, well, how much pedal can we use? If you talk to anybody who plays harpsichord, he'll say 0 pedal, even if you play it on the piano. I'm not in the middle of the road. I'm actually leaning toward lighter pedal, or so to call that pedal that doesn't sustain for too long. It's like a real shallow pedal. That's usually what I try to use in this music, as well as this style, as well as earlier classical, Viennese classical, and Mozart especially, when really the articulation is so interesting and so diverse. Using longer pedal all of a sudden smears, not even smearing the sound, it just, you don't have that intricacies of that narrative that articulation asks you to do. And then my only rule that I follow religiously, no pedal over scales in any form and shape, even for the color. Color didn't really exist at that time, but you know. So, but we can do it on the piano. I would not. Arpeggio, I can have light pedal. Scale-like, I wouldn't. Half step, neighboring key, 4 notes down, the whole scale down, even partially, I would avoid it here, I would avoid it in Mozart, I would avoid it in Haydn, I would avoid it in a lot of Beethoven as well. So Beethoven experimented with pedal and he would write it when he wanted. Plus, the pedal of that instrument didn't sustain for as long. The sound was still different, but so good. So you're basically the same as every pianist. We're wondering how much and we don't know the answers.
Yeah.
Good.
No one tell me.
Well, you know, we don't know because everyone does it differently. And the beauty in Scarlatti, that Scarlatti really asks for a lot of dynamic contrast. It's so well written and so interesting and so unpredictable that we have to react with the sound. So many settle for so-to-called, I don't like when the performer looks backwards, so that's why I will be jumping around. So I try to find the middle of the road where we use so-to-call this terrace dynamic, but I would go pretty open with this, very clear. So if this is bright, it's bright. If it's light, it's light. If it's in between, it's in between. And I would kind of find those levels in my pieces. And then a light shaping within, as you said. If it goes up, if you don't shape on this instrument, it's not going to sound good because this instrument asks for shaping. Yes, other instruments of that time were able to shape, but harpsichord really. I mean, my colleagues who play harpsichord, they would argue that. They say you still can hear a little bit of shaping. You can hear that natural, and it is there. So that light, dry shaping, and I call it also direct shaping. The direct shaping, that means you shape to the note you meant to shape, not swelling in the middle. So that's what I personally use. So in regards of pedaling, let's go with the first one. So you, and I wouldn't be able to copy the way exactly you sounded, but you were holding D over that rest? No. You did good job with playing, shaping those two notes. I was waiting for you to accent the second note, and then you didn't. She's a teacher. Because in the first three measures, I wasn't sure. In measure 4, I knew that you're a teacher. Same, careful rest, yeah? So that was about the sound environment. It was nice, clear. I actually was using less pedal than you did, because by nature, I have like, my foot just doesn't go there in that style. Press it. We have to have 4 pedals. I always call it. The 4th pedal for piano should be feel-good pedal. It doesn't do anything, but you just press it, and it just feels good. And you can use it in a lot of pieces. You just switch to feel-good pedal. So what I would do, and again, this is what I would do, doesn't mean that's what you have to do, yeah? Now, see, I don't do that. But on purpose, I did it. I'm not using any pedal. Yeah. You can be extremely expressive without pedal. Our precept, we want this sound to have more resonance. After all the literature that was written after, especially after the classical period, we need that fullness sound. We need those overtones, that whole world of, but what if you didn't? Do you have enough skill to express without that richness that modern instrument overtones with open strings give us? So then you have to be very crafty to create that narrative, which I believe this music is representing musical narrative. It doesn't really work with color. For us, it's hard to separate those two. Such beautiful instruments, they have so much potential. And there's nothing wrong with throwing a little bit of a colorful sound. But how about let's do no pedal. You can use feel-good pedal, imagine, and then try to be as expressive. See, notice my dynamic range was beyond what harpsichord would do it. So that's definitely a romantic way of using that dynamic range. But not having the pedal gives me that sense of that style that is there. So you kind of marrying those two. Can you try to do that? Very good. I like it. I like it more, and then after you play like this for a week, and when your ears are cleared, then you say, well, how much little pedal that I can add without, you might say, well, I'm actually good without pedal. Or I will add a little bit, just maybe here, maybe just maybe there. So now, what is left? How to shape? That's also a question. And there is no direct answer, but you were saying that when the melodic material climbs up, you tend to make a little crescendo, because that's usually what that asks for, yeah? When it goes down, you tend to make diminuendo, yeah? You did few opposites here in that one phrase. So, I mean, it doesn't mean it's bad. It sounded very good. But it's the decision to make, do you crescendo in a descending line? When do you do this? I usually like it when it goes to the lower register. So if it's up to that point, I diminuendo usually. When it gets to the lower register, I start to expand a little bit more. That's the natural sound of our vocals, our voice. If you go to a lower register, it gets deeper, yeah? When it gets to the mid register, it seems to be gets lighter, more intimate, and when it goes to the top, it brightens, yeah? So see if you could kind of follow that more closely, see? And listen in this decent interval, and then nothing, just a single note. Try it. See, you're already anticipating that ascending line. So you're giving it away instead of, see, imagine he would finish here, but he climbs up again. It's extremely expressive, and in a way, if you think about this, the emotional charges here is just as intense as in Romanticism. It's except just fewer notes that have been used instead of luscious, texture that came later. Try again. Now, also, I'm not mentioning, but since you're playing it consistently, you're playing in two different tempos between measure 1 and measure 2. Yes. That's why I was still thinking you might be not a teacher. But in measure 4, I said, she's a teacher. If she's playing the second note consistently, soft in those two, she cannot be an amateur. But that's not, guys, don't take it. We just spot a teacher because you can hear it, and the way it's exactly done, you see that person is teaching somebody. Try it. Less. Little. Back up, back up, back up. And then. No, you cannot hold your D over the rest. No, actually, D is the main note plus it's syncopated, yeah? So you want to. Oh, don't give up your sound that quickly, yeah? You have a long way to go. Oh no, but you cannot accent the first short note, yeah? No, you can do. No, but watch the second note, careful. Actually, right, it has to sound like a dissonant. Don't. And then, no, D is off. No, not before, right? Add. Right. Then, careful not to accent. So if you want to crescendo to the quarter, you can do this, but be careful not to accent the first 16th note that is leading. We shape to the long notes or strong beats, yes? So T, ta da ta da, or T, ta da ta da, but not T, ta da ta da. Yeah. Now, and again, so that will be again, so you finished. And again, that D has to almost, so that ended. The next thing, I would just change my sound rather dramatically. Also no pedal. See, I'm using very light pedal here, and then it's. And then I would change something here, yeah, because again, change of texture usually means change of expression there, yeah? So how much that's the question. We don't know the answer. As much as you like it and as much as convincing, as much as people enjoy your version. So, but if you have, and I usually like that pedal effect. I have to know the instrument. That kind of disappears gradually. And then there is a difference here, by the way. When you micro shape within my TV group, you have to watch the length of the notes here. Syncopation. Not. So that brings a dynamic nuance that is, if you read your rhythm accurately, when we shape, there are basic rules, and I don't want to quiz you on that. But the thing is that I follow just very simple three main, those are three main whales, so to say, that make our speak English. Let me get my dictionary. That influence our decision. Yeah. And when we crescendo, when we diminuendo. On the motivic level, when we're talking about short groups, and especially this style, including Viennese classical style, it's all short motivic groups building longer phrases. So going with long phrase, you cannot overlook at short motivic groups because they bring a lot of nuances into that narrative. If you just go with just long crescendo diminuendo, you discard a lot of interesting narrative elements. So it's meter first, rhythm second, direction is the last one. That influence our choices when we shape in motivic grouping. So meter is determining most of the time when the rhythm is uniformed, we're going to one of the primary beats in the measure. Now, if the rhythm is diverse, we usually go to the long note. Direction only influences somewhat if the motivic group is a little bit longer. But the arrival note will not be determined by the highest note. It depends on if it's rhythmically the longest note or if it matches one of the stronger beats. So that's it. Now, phrasing dynamic, which is a long-term dynamic, that influence, the direction starts to play a more important role. Same thing, meter, rhythm, but direction starts to play more crucial role because it evolves over a longer period of time, several measures, so even longer. So direction tells you, start to grow unless something written in the score or get lighter. So, but the arrival point is still will be determined by the meter or rhythm. So here what you have very nicely done rhythmic thing. Syncopation is a rhythmic accent against metrics. So it meant to have a little bit more weighted sound. Then you finish. Then also, it's kind of searching, yeah, but not finding the answer. And then, this measure is interesting. Scarlatti is genius. So he writes, so to call, looking like passage work, but his passage work is melodic. That's what makes it. And plus harmony and changes, it's just his. So, but see, he all of a sudden, that's the voice that is moving, yeah? Of course, we want, it's also a melody, but underneath that, so it's, I just threw that dynamic out there, but those are the places that I see that require sudden change and make it extremely dramatic. Do you have to do it? Not necessarily. But if you find it interesting, it might be. So hey, can you go back to this? I'm watching. So we have a little time for this. Syncopated? Not. Finish that. And then. Can you try? No. Da, da, da. Twice. Stress, stress on G, stress on F. F, and then not. Right. That stress, you have to be careful how much, otherwise it will be a little bit too much. But yes, that's the idea. Can you try again? So you have to short up voice a little bit more. G, F, and then not. Finish it. And then next, yeah. And not yet. Also, interesting measure, if you think about, it feels like ending, not yet, and not yet, and not yet, and not yet. So it's masterfully done with only a few notes, and it's just not too many composers at that time would write interesting music with 2.5 notes to their disposal.
How do you decide when to play detached, when to play?
That would be part of the intuition, which is based on the build experience over the years and your personal taste. So I don't decide, but if I had to think about it, then I would make my decision. A lot of stuff comes on the spot as a reaction.
So it's more like impromptu?
Right. I know you just want to do that. If you I just said something about nothing. So that speaks more, but that stylistically goes completely out of whack with harpsichord traditions. I'm using almost Russian dynamic, Russian diminuendo here, because it goes that wide from. That's a huge dynamic range, but it's convincing. And I don't use much pedal. It gives me impression of that style, but fully a romantic dynamic range. Can you try it?
All right.
Yeah, E is the end, and then breath, syncopation, 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 and then you can. And the left hand, try to hold as long as you can. Right, try not to lift too much. Kind of hold on as long as you can. Connect notes that you can. The other ones stay as long as you can and just move to the next. Right. No, lead to the long note. Right. Even if it's not written there, if you look at the rhythm, it kind of tells you how to shape it in that measure. Keep going. And then, besides right hand, what you did, you can hear that line. But also make sure that you shape it. If just voicing it is not enough. So if you think about it, that is the end of the previous, yeah? Then. So there are two voices, yeah? One is splitting. And notice I'm consistently shaping toward F. The reason is because it goes into subdivision. It matches with the end beat, and E's are around it, so that's why it's not only because it's high, it's not because it's higher. If it was reversed, I would still go to the second 8 beat. So, but see, it's I would split my right hand onto two voices, basically. The good thing is so many possibilities with this music. You can play it this way versus that way. And that's what makes it interesting. It's like an interesting book. You read it 5 times and there's something different every time. No, it's ta. But don't overdo it. Yeah. And they have to slightly vary, yeah? No, first one is tender. Next one is a little bit more impatient or something. Now E. If your last E is not soft enough, then that Motivi group is not going to cry. It's just going to tell you what to do. Right. Good. And not too much. It's echoing. No, don't accent. Politely asking, basically. Good. And then. And I would add a short trill on the low note. From the upper note, from the trill note, from the trill note. D, C, D, C. And all of them like that. And rests, and rests, rests. less. That's too much. But the thing is that, right, make it more dramatic. Now, and it's up to you if you decide to bring a different voice, you can do it differently. And just hold the note that you want to, like low note. And then release the other one. And then. And then disagree. Right. And also A is the end of the previous, so that will be piano. That will be bright. And then, no, that's piano. That's end of the previous. That is intervention. And then you react on that from the second note. So the way it's going to say is and then argument. All of a sudden, you're in this world from it asks for a change, and a rather dramatic change. It might be too much. If I practice for several days, I will say, Igor, tone it down. Record myself, listen like, oh my God, you're so Russian here, shut up. Yeah, but at first you go with extreme. That's how you discover, different worlds. Can you try again? So, that's fine. For now, we can punch it. And then argue, disagree. And then, wait. Last two. See, I wouldn't prepare then. And then now this A. Right. We're not following the tempo. We're overdoing it. But that's the first step to try to really separate your expressive territories. And then after violating all the rules, then you say, well, then now I have to groom it. So then you have. And there's rest immediately.
And on some of the recording, I heard them like they take time.
Right, and it's wonderful. It's their version. So you have to create your own story out of it. I'm just.
I can take it. I mean, we do want to start to like Chopin and a lot.
Right. I mean, Chopin was actually very, very strict in taking too much time. I think your time has to be more or less consistent, but this was an expressive narrative music. It requires a little time sometimes when the expression gets too intense. But in the whole scope, it will stay fairly close to main flow. I don't want to say metronome. Metronome is good to just kind of get an idea what Highway 95 is. So, speed limit, 60, 75. So, but then you have to be flexible around this tempo, determined on by expression. And that music was flexible at that time. It's just how convincing it's going to be. If you go too much and you like it, then good for you. If it's nobody else or a lot of people disagree, then you never know. It's a vague territory. How much is too much? But I would say if you go, of course. Might be too much. I mean, it's beautiful, yeah, it's interesting. But then it becomes, I think if you record like this, that would be groundbreaking. And I'm not saying if it's going to be bad or good, it's just going to be so different. But if it's done so well, there are some performers that go radical about the interpretation, and sometimes wonderful things come out of it, and sometimes everyone just like, what's going on? But when everybody disagrees, it doesn't mean you're wrong.
Okay.
So you are incorrect if you accent in a light beat note, or if you not shape in a certain way. But otherwise, so I know this. We are just about 2 minutes now. Same thing here. Yeah, I like it. Sounds like Christmas piano during the Christmas time in the mall. It's all kind of blending. But I don't think you could use longer pedal for the color in Scarlatti. I mean, you could. I mean, I do occasionally, but even that too much. Even less. That very light kind of almost like echo. It's an acoustic pedal, I call it. They create it's like sometimes in the hall you have this, like here. So it creates that kind of sound, but not more than that. So you're swimming in the pedal. That's too much. And then also, I would probably just create a dialogue between those birdies. You don't need this. giggle at the end, maybe.
Okay.
Queen is arriving and you're giggling in the crowd. Look at her. Look at that head. Can you try to go slowly?
So,
Right, see, it starts seem to be with the bird call, yeah? And the other one.
start on the middle bird or I start on
I would start with the upper note.
so I can do.
And again, you would have to move your fingers higher to make it happen. No, see, it's in. Yeah, yes. And here you can use 1-3. And same thing, they have to go up and down. And twist your brain. It actually would be easy if you played. Probably, no, I don't know.
I tried.
You tried, did you try?
I tried, yes.
It's difficult, but when you play an embellishment, first of all, you don't want to rush it too much, and second of all, you want to make sure that fingers move. The glitch happens when one of the fingers stop moving enough. It's usually the second finger. It's like, can you try? You see, your second finger is not moving. Now, you can use 2-3, but second finger has to come off. But 1-3, I think it will be safer. Now, how to play that kind of stuff? And Scarlatti knew it's difficult. But at that time, I think they were embellishing anything they could embellish. They were virtuosos with embellishments. But see, I would measure. So it's a measured. Then I can control it. That's it. Right, and of course, see, think about this. The wonderful part of this is that you can choose your dynamic. It can be. And could have been, the bird could have been, miles away. You could hear a little bit. I probably wouldn't do that, but that's a possibility. So that's the wonderful thing about Scarlatti. We can choose our dynamics based on expression. The only thing I know, change means change. And Scarlatti is very clear about it when he wants to change, either harmonic shift or textual change or combination of those both things. And I was glad to hear that you were doing that bass. You could be a little bit more frank about it. Okay, let's go to the beginning again, the trills. And again, let's do mezzo forte, it will be easier. That's right. Actually, less of the left hand. Same second finger. Make sure the second finger is moving. And then it's new. Actually, I'm playing not to detach those three, but and then I'm connecting these two, and then it's like an invitation. No, left hand changes, yeah? To F, there's one. And also notice after that first D, I'm opening the balance for my melodic voice. Oh, no, you cannot do this. The last note in the measure has to be light and not long. And also, no, you cannot accent for 16. That's what you cannot do. You have to shape to the long note. No, you're doing pa pa pa. It's ta ta ta. That's direct shape into where you meant to. Yes. And also, you see, as you said, when it repeats, you change. Yeah. You have ta da ta da. You cannot play this twice the same. Ta da. Then different. And also the other one. That long note. Right, since it's a long note, a separate voice, you can have a little bit more weight on it. It's like a different instrument playing it. Good. Low voice. Right. No, you cannot do this. No. That's the rhythm. Shape to A, yeah? No, but you only shape the top voice, yeah? Because this is weird. This is an accompaniment. I mean, second voice. Okay, trying. That's where it came from. So here, see, it's not just this long note. I usually like to hold on to the long note. The queen has arrived. No, lighten. Short, not too long, not too cold, not too hot. Yeah, medium rare. Some kind of instrumental drum at the same time, yeah. Let's stay with that. We thought she arrived. She didn't. She's around the corner. No, but not staccatos. Very precise and consistent. Also, listen carefully, your micro shaping. That's the motivic shaping. That's where the first thing is noticeable when you listen to somebody playing. If the motivic shaping is not well organized or not planned, and it just goes 2, 3, 4, 5 notes, not really, aiming for anything, that becomes noticeable. So what I'm doing, if you listen carefully, and that's a conscious choice. Diminuendo. Diminuendo. Crescendo. So I'm not planning it, I'm just doing it because that's the way should be, could be, must be, possibly. You have to do it. But you have your own choice, but do it.
Okay.
Try. Nice. Stay with motivic shape until the end of it. Don't start to anticipate the next thing, and that's you start to react with the notes from the previous motivic group that's supposed to diminuendo. You're reacting on the upcoming brighter sound, and that kind of changes everything. Less. Same. Move your second finger. Move your second. No, move your second. No, your second finger. Yeah. No, no. Yeah. So it's technically 1, 2. So it flips twice. Yeah. Right, and then. Each of them has its own kind of face. It's like little cherubs. I know. Second time might be a little bit. So see, the first time your bass can be like before you ate your breakfast, and the second time it's had nice donuts. So it's a little bit heavier, but still nice. And then smile. Right. So here again, you can make that you can make that finally that the bass instrument who plays the bass and that's all they get all their life. So, but all of a sudden, you let them have their melody, even though the melody is simple. And that bass player will thank you for the rest of her life. That's right. Just hold. Top. But not too much. Good. And then. No. And rests. No, you have to giggle. Quietly, left hand has to giggle. Right, shape to a different spot. Yeah. To the second beat. Second beat. Then less. And then no. But keep your articulation uniform. What is that? The grandpa. No. I'm taking a nap. Or something. So the thing is that how to go about it. Is it too much what we're doing? I think it's not too much. It just we exaggerate in the degree of what we're doing. But what we're doing, it's a discovery of possibilities of different characters, and Scarlatti does that. He is very theatrical. He has a lot of players on stage for a very short period of time. So, and once you discover the dynamic articulation, sound, and what to focus on, then it becomes very interesting. But at first you exaggerate in terms of tempo, you're taking it slow, you're looking for it, and then once you discover, then you have to groom it back to something that would be a little bit more stable, if you will. But then it's very interesting. So, and that's I believe that would be the essence of Scarlatti to explore. Versus it will be generically okay, versus being original. And it will be your version. Don't care about who plays what. If you think that this should be, I mean, sounds like a boat. No, but some kind of instrument like drum and something like, someone of the wind, and it's like an announcement of the queen arrival. And if that's your picture, well, just make sure that the sound resonates to you. Then we will react on this and we'll say, yay, that was interesting.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay, kind of digest.
Oh, that's right. But the main thing, there is no right or wrong on that level. What is wrong if you're doing is that goes to the. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we have the last piece, Tchaikovsky. That's a beautiful piece. We're going to spend a lot of time on the first two measures. I'm joking. Yeah, I was just finishing writing a few things. Very good. And again, especially waiting and playing, that's not an easy piece. So yeah, don't worry about it. It's a difficult piece in general, and then it requires full concentration, be in a warm-up room before you get started. But before we do this, an interview. Where you're from, who you are, what happened?
I'm from Seattle. So my name is Dumka. I'm from Seattle. I'm currently a marketing manager at Microsoft. And I love piano. I started to study piano since the age of 4. And I never stopped playing and practicing. So this is a very essential part of my life.
This is perfect. This is what I want to hear. That's what I want if my students are watching, the ones that go into college to doing some kind of secondary, not important engineering degree. Did you hear that? Or being a doctor, not music. So, but in general, so you kept piano. You went to the university, but you never stopped playing.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. So now, this is an ambitious piece. And you're doing, all overall, don't worry about some mistakes that happens because it shows that you can play it. So it's just nerves and waiting. That's, it's not, if you had time to warm up and a lot of things would go a little bit more consistently. Now, I was writing several things. Some of them are about tempo, and it could be because you got nervous. You might have pushed your tempo a little bit faster than you would normally do. And you will play those parts again. And you don't really have to push it to the absolute edge. It's more of the kind of stable, settled, often masculine kind of feel within a moving tempo. That's all you need. You don't have to go to extremely edge tempo. Although performers do that. When you go on YouTube, I'm sure you checked quite a few. So some of them are flying there. So and then you're reacting on that, and you don't have to do that. Now, few specific things. We'll go and address few tempo spots. Last page. You actually, I wrote count all longer notes. You actually did a good job counting them. Better than many. I had quite a few students playing it, and I spent most of the time on the last and the first 2 pages because it's just counting and then just to make them sound right. So you were counting them just about right, the longer notes, but they were teeny bit shortened, so which is good. So if you can do this under this kind of pressure, so that means once you get used to performing it, come into more of this kind of events more often, get used to the stage again, then it will be good. So here, it's better to hold long note longer in something like this versus not. So it's slightly overholding, but it sounds good, right? One and two, and you might want to count in eighth notes. That will help you too. Every time. Everyone knows, everyone is waiting for this. Is he going to miss it or not in the performance? Is he going to miss it or not? If you don't position your finger right over the key, it's going to be. So, not everyone really counts this, but all those longer notes, you want to slightly, almost like adding a 16th beat in addition. Let's try. Oh no, also 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Now, that one you were overholding. Dum, da da dum. And 2 and 3 and. Not staccato, just non legato. And 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and every one and 2 and 3 and 4 and you can highlight E flat here to make it a little bit more tragic. 2 and 3 and 4, another 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then it's right. And the end has to be like you chop the head. So it's. So it's not like 3, 4, and then it's like that's right. No mercy. That was very good. That's it. Yeah, I mean that's how it ended. Too much drinking in the middle. No, it's a tragic piece really in its essence. It starts with that deep melancholy and then it just forget about this, just lost in celebration and at the end again. So now in terms of tempos, let's just in general look at them. You were going for fast tempos. You listened to some fast pianists or just nervousness and all that. So when you go to you don't have to push beyond that. It's fast enough already. And it's actually here it says the same tempo anyway. Yeah? So try again from the, and make sure you count. 1, 2, 3. That's all. That's all. And that's already fast enough. And you do an excellent job playing it. So, yeah, you probably got nervous. That's why you kind of like went to the Ferrari speed. So, just let's keep it Dodge. That will be okay. So that was good. Here, just small detail, when you have, you can actually pull back a little bit in tempo. Same thing. Don't push your tempo to the extreme. Here, have a little bit of a tempo reset, pull back. I mean, it's all play here at this point. You know, you tag in things and, you know, celebration. It's just you can see that a crowd of people and just, you know, different activities. So, so here it would be good just to pull back, not only dynamically, but tempo. And then just go back to your tempo, but don't overshoot it. Yeah, this is just suggestion. A lot of Russians accent in pa, 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 second time, just that upbeat. So it's, it's first on the downbeats, and then chorus. That's right. Good. No, also, you rush. Yeah, so you have to wait a little bit longer, the dotted note, before you play the 30-second. Wait, no, you earlier. That's right. That's right. Same. That's it. That's all you need. And you'll have much better control. And once you adapt to this tempo and perform several times, then, you know, there may be a little bit clarity will be there. But that's what you want to do. So don't put yourself in a situation when you're struggling with a speed that is supersonic. It's too much. Now, that's good. So the next thing, that next part, we started from kind of end in the middle. Most of the time, when it comes to the lyrical sections in this piece, your instrument sounding just in general good. What I would add to it, I would add a little bit more sense of singing tone through the balance. Balance in a way non-melodic notes will let your melody sing a little bit more. It starts to shine. For example, this is a good spot since we're here. It sounds okay. And you didn't play like that, I'm just kind of somewhat pretending, but we have more notes in accompaniment, which is hard to control. Can you try to play just the chords between both hands? Skip all the melodic notes. Try to keep them nice, even, and light. It's uniformly light. No shaping. It's like a choir singing with it, you know, just humming. Right. Right. Later, you will start to have a little bit more of the bass line, which you did nicely. It was nicely done bass line. But at the beginning, it was a little bit too much sound on the chords. It wasn't too bad, but it didn't let the melody sing enough because it was a little bit too close. Now, it takes a while to practice like this and play it and adapt to it, but can you try right now with the melody, maybe slower, and also try not to bounce too much from the chords, just almost like try to sink your fingers into the keys and stay there. Not instead of... And listen carefully vertically. When you have melodic note, especially the 16th note or 32nd note, your accord's going to react on it because it gets a little bit more moving, and as a result, mechanically, you're going to react on the top voice by playing it with a little bit of a kind of jerky touch, and that's going to spike some sound in your accompaniment. So. Same. If you don't listen carefully, your accompaniment will immediately react on that crescendo. Ultimately, this is a place that takes a while to get it right. At the same time, it should be light, every note should sound, but cannot be bright. Playing piano pianissimo is difficult. Can you try? So with the melody right now, but go slower and listen vertically. So every slice, when you have a melody and the harmony, your harmony has to be away from the melody. The melody has to project without being too bright, but it has to sing out. And then the chords that in between are staying nice and light, quiet. Again, next melodic note, make sure that your chords, your fingers that play in the harmony do not react on the more projected sound of that finger that plays the melody. Also, just a heads up, you can actually take this note to the left and it will be easier. And you can use a fourth finger on top in the right hand. Right. And you can still, yeah, that's right, keep going. Keep it in the left hand. No, that can be all in the left hand. Right. And then you will just take that G. You can slightly redistribute. And what happens, you will have a little bit more availability in the right hand to designate more weight to the melody versus struggling with those chords. So I would do that. But for now, just play with your actual, how you are playing, and try to, again, keep your harmony away from the melody as much as possible without losing the sound. Good. And don't bounce, stay. In terms of mechanical gesture, it's always the same, down, 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 and close to the keys. Barely moving. Very good. Very good. No, see, did you hear your left hand reacted on that crescendo? Da 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 da, and your left hand accented. Same thing. That can be, all of that can be in the left hand. Just for the reference, all of that that can be in the left hand, and that can be in the left hand, and I believe this one as well. But for now, just play the way you played it. Watch your left hand. Also, in transitions, when you're going from one chord to another, you slightly staccato in that last chord, and as a result, it comes out a little sharp in terms of the sound. It's a little kind of dynamic spike. You want to try to have a lazy lift when you transition. You have time for that. Lazy lifts. Lazy lift, lazy. Lazy. That's right, that's exactly right. This is much better. Good, I mean, it looks like you had good teachers and you have very good skills. You control your sound right away because that's not easy. But that's exactly what needed to be there. So now, next thing. No, that's okay. I think I ripped it when I was writing. So this is good. So the main thing, count longer notes on the last page. It's better to make them slightly longer than slightly shorter. By the way, the octaves, same thing. Try not to put yourself in a situation when you're going at a very fast speed and then you just catching up. Now, I wrote divide on groups. Did you subdivide on certain groups? You kind of went with the whole thing. So that will be less secure. The dividing on groups, it's kind of up to you. The way it works, you figure out how many notes will be in the same kind of little group. For example, so, or it could be so it's totally up to you how many. Usually, if you've never done dividing a passage on groups, you usually kind of play long enough that your hands know it. It's better to stay with smaller groups. So let's just do a little practice. This is one group. Now, the benefit of it is this such that instead of having one long road and you kind of driving it half blinded, you have short little distances. And each distance you have clear perception of which white and black keys you're going to hit. So this first one is, can you block all four? Just as a single line. Right. So that's your first position. So visually this is how it looks. So you visualize it's white, two black, and white. These specific groups. The way you move within this position, you go, you skip the second one, go to the top, and then come back to the second one. Can you play it again? So it's eye-hand coordination. Your eyes looking at the block. It's almost like you zoom out and you look at the map and you see like the outline of that road. Zooming in, you know how you move within that road. Yeah. So your first visual perception should be a block of keys. The second, the way you move. So you kind of see both as you're playing. And then before you play, you look at the position, and then you see how you move within the position, and you play. Do it again. Before you play, you have to see. Very good. Right, now the stop point should be on the next note that you're not playing yet, which is B flat. And again. Now, and then you repeat 4 times. Every repetition requires visual preparation, visual and mental preparation, physical execution, preparation of the first note of the next, little break, repeat. So that the actual playing takes like a quarter of the time. That visual preparation before and then positioning after, waiting for a few seconds, takes most of the time. So. So I'm training my brain to be ahead of my fingers, basically. Okay, visualize. Play, prepare next one. Don't go away from the next one right away. The reason you don't want to move back to the beginning of the position that you just played, or group of notes that you just played, you're going to create mechanical loophole back to what you don't need. So you want to stay on that next note that you're not playing yet. So just for a couple of seconds, then relax. Then again, visualize. Even though you just played it, let's say 3-4 times, you force your brain to visualize every time. Because at this point, you're not necessarily practicing your physique, so to say, your hands. You're actually training your brain to control the physical thing. No, the first group. Visualize and play. Stay in the next position. Then relax. Couple of seconds. Then position your hand on G. Visualize. Then play. Next one, and then relax. That's right. So that's the sequence. Now, next one. Can you block that group for me? Right, so now you have two white keys in the middle, blacks on the outside. Previous one was the other way around, whites on the outside, black on the inside, yeah? Here is the other way around, it's like Oreo cookie. Black, black, and white stuff in the middle. So your second position will call it Oreo cookie position. So the way you move, you're gonna be zigzagging exactly the same way. And then the next stop note will be E natural, yeah? Yeah, E. Yeah? So you're visually looking at this 4, zigzagging this way, stop note is that. So you process that first, then you physically do it. Second group. Prepare E natural after. E natural. E. Is it? Yeah, E natural, yeah, E natural. Visualize first. You visualize position, which is, yeah. Very good. When your eyes can see what you're playing, you will be playing more precisely. One more time. Oh, look carefully. Excellent. So you repeat 5, 6, 7 times. Then you combine both positions. In day 1, I would just keep positions separately. I would not combine them yet. And keep it like this for several days or maybe a week. And do not play through the whole passage. So, and then once they settle, then you start to. Two of them. And they're all moving down. So it's zigzagging, downwards, downwards. And again the same. So it's a repetition. It's fairly easy. It's all like a Lego thing. You use the same pieces, and then anything new, you remember it. And that's, you will have much better control on it. It takes a little time to do it, but you start with a small position like this. All right, so now, few thoughts about the beginning. Now, that's the most difficult part of the entire thing. And you actually did a very nice all-overall playing. Few things that I would suggest you. If you were to try to, first of all, what is your perception expressively? How do you look at this piece? What do you imagine here? What is your take on it? What is the emotional?
I think it's pretty sad. It's the dark kind of mood.
Dark sadness, melancholy.
Like someone is sighing and what is that word?
I wouldn't know.
Sobbing.
Like sobbing? Oh yeah, that's right. That's it. Crying, sobbing, pleading. Yeah, all of that. Very good. That's right. It's also kind of self-explanatory. Now, if that's the case, you have to, the challenge here, not only for you, but for anybody, how to somehow keep that andantino. Because andantino is fairly moving tempo. It's not adagio. And your tempo was actually good. You chose very good tempo. But within that tempo, I think you can allow yourself to be just a little bit more flexible with time, or expand it a little bit, so that you have time for that breathing that those emotions require. So when you left hand has a roll, right hand doesn't have a roll. Now here, don't rush, and then slightly change pedal. And then it goes. So, you can be, again, a little bit more flexible without getting too sappy, because andantino requires certain flow. So if you go with this writing asks for it. It asks for a slower tempo. But looking at cantabile singing, andantino is a rather moving tempo. Andante is a moving tempo. Andantino is even more so. So your tempo was good. But you can be just a little bit more flexible within that tempo to get this emotion across. Can you try? Also, the top note of the roll matches with the chord. Or the chord matches with the top of the roll. No, actually, I would match. That's very good. That's it, yeah. I think it's a good compromise with breathing that cantabile needs, and yet it's moving enough that andante kind of asks for. Very good. Now, the next thing, the challenge would be, is to separate the harmony, second voices, and then the primary melodies. So you have... Actually. So those are non-melodic notes. It's always helpful to play them by themselves to realize what is their actual sound territory is. And then next thing you have to watch not to react on the shaping of the melodic material with the secondary notes that should not really react much on it or at all. Well, I'm not talking about this. That's a secondary melody that you actually implied in your playing. I don't know if it was by accident, but I could hear it. Usually it's not audible, but you did show it beyond. You showed this, you showed that, and you showed that. Not as prominently as I would like to, but it was there. So it's like, oh yeah, that's nice. So, but if it happens by accident, that was a good accident. So, technically, see it. I immediately pull back when I don't have melodic material, then it's. That's melodic. That is not. And then that's it. So playing everything but the melody with two hands, and then just playing hands separately and paying close attention to which notes are melodic, which notes are not. We're going to try that right now. And then when you're playing everything together, you have to be like a good conductor and listen polyphonically. Just, even if it's not imitative polyphony, sometimes there is a little imitation there, you have to listen polyphonically. We pianists will listen multi-layered texture, and we actually try to be very consistent in the sound that we choose for each voice. Primary melody, secondary melody, harmony that is in the back, and we just have to guard that, you know, that three-dimensional sound very carefully. Otherwise, secondary notes start to sound like primary start to go into background, and before you know it, it's all over the place. You can play like that, but that's what happens if you not listen, not only vertically but also linearly. Can you try left hand only? And then again, it starts with non-melodic, just a roll. And it's one roll, and then you'll have to lift your hand. It's only a quarter. Often pedals off. Very good. That's very, very good. And then now that should be doubled. Good. And lead to and continue. And then end it on G. Very good. That's it. And then it's non-melodic. And then non-melodic. Then the melody in the bass. No. Double it. No, only the bass. No. Double the sound of the bass, but don't double the sound of those two. More. Keep the other one straight. Yes. E flat, and then A flat, and then voice. So that's a melody. One less. C, then again G. No. Soft voice. That's right. But every note sounds. Very good. Voice. 2 E flat, and then less. Good. Then don't voice. And then it's exactly it. See, there you have 2 layers in the left hand already, and then you have 2 layers in the right hand. So you have 4 layers to really keep attention. Technically 3. So non-melodic, primary melody, secondary melodic material. So each of those can be practiced separately, and you have good ears. you reacted very quickly. So you had good teachers. That's good. So now, next thing, go into the next part, this transition. We have a few minutes. Like multiple echoes. You say once, and then you hear echo, an echo. And then don't go right into the tempo gradually. And keep it light. Same, once you roll this chord, not melody, not melody, not melody, melody. Notice, it's not. And here I would suggest you less pedal and then diminuendo and ritardando. That's too much what I did. But instead of building a crescendo, I would do it after. That's where it goes into you disagree. You're in a way not accepting that, the sadness that, you're trying to, or you're weeping, why is it so? So, but I wouldn't do it here. That closes the phrase. It should be much more internal. So what I want you to do right now, can you play just the left hand all the way up until here, and then I'll tell you what to do next. So when you roll, super careful with the non-melodic notes. They have to stay light. Very good. Very good. And then gradually slowing down, return down, then diminuendo. Diminuendo, slow down. That's right. Right. So that would be my approach in terms of the phrasing here. I would not anticipate the crescendo up until you finish your phrase. Right hand. Yes, every note. Can you try just the right hand? No. It's like driplets, like in the morning, you have that. What do you call it on the grass? It's just like I don't know the name. So echo, not real, very ethereal. Here you can be. That can be nice, full, ample, and fully kind of crying out as much as you can. Can you try from that? little trick. If you use if you use thumb here, it will be easier. And then you just cross over. Like 1/4. Right. You don't even have to move your hand. It's right there. Right. And it's 1/4 3. 1/4 3, and then you're going to be right in the next position, which is A flat. Yeah, 1/4, and then 1 will be right there. Feel the second over C. It works well, those fingering. If you use 5, you might miss it, or it, you kind of jerk in your hand, and it kind of affects the the sound. 1 works well there. No, actually more. Sound. Again, you have very good ears because you react immediately on the sound change. That's very good. Now, so here, when the sound, the whole expression is so, again, elegetic, if you will. It's extremely expressive and extremely sad. The last thing you want to do, all of a sudden, rush. Yeah, it's kind of out of the entire picture. So. This is where I would allow myself to be a little bit more flexible with time. Here I would just move with slight flexibility, but I would not take too much time because otherwise you're doing it 3 times, it becomes repetitive. Take your time before you. Can you try that? Right from here. So don't rush. And then do not take too much time here, not too much time there, and then relax in this last repeat. Pedal slightly. 2, 3, 4. Da 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 pa pam. I wouldn't wait too long. Tam da da tam. And then clear. Pa pa pam. Right. So that would be again my suggestion. First of all, do not anticipate that crescendo because it happens a little bit later. Finish your phrase with more internal, kind of introverted, dark, deep. Deep sadness and then immediate disagreement. not playing them on there. But and it was a little bit too fast. So, and then just one page of nice, full, not accepting, you know, this is what life gives me, and this is like, you're not accepting it. Will you succeed? We don't know. But that's the page of rejecting what was happening before. And then finishing, you go into the kind of a little dream, and that we can imagine was in the past, or you just basically say, well, this is my life, let me go to the crowd and just celebrate, and I'm going to feel better about life. And that's the whole middle section is about that, with some lyricism. And then the end is, unfortunately, now the last thing, this andante, do not push your tempo. You're again going for the fast tempo, there is no need. Even here, when you get to... a while ago. And you technically have to sit long here. It's much longer. If you really count here, and it's very effective if it's done right. So this whole place is you in command, if you will. So it's very effective if it's done right. Nobody holds the actual value here, because people think, as you play, you think people are going to start leaving the audience will be leaving. But same thing happens here. I don't know if you played this before. People who don't know the piece, they clap here. And you're like, I still have to kill it. So plus, you know, you wake up most of the senior citizens here when you play in this dee-dum, that chord. So, but that way it would go. And then the main thing, you just have to realize that the more you perform, the more comfortable you're going to be on stage. I want to make sure that's not an emergency call. Hello, Vladimir? No, so the more you're going to be comfortable, the more you're going to deliver what you want to on stage, because you have good ears, and you react on the sound very quickly. You expressively connect with music very well. So just find, do you have a group in Seattle that you playing for each other?
Not physically.
Not physically. But did you have it before COVID?
I joined a amateur pianist group, but that's based in San Diego. So
that's a little ways down. So you create your own group there. I'm sure there will be other musicians in the area. You said you're in Seattle?
Yeah.
That's a musical area. So, and just create your own group and just have, you know, performances. There is a group in Dallas here that they play for each other. There is a group that is actually now with Zoom goes across the borders, which is in Atlanta. And if, you know, Utako, if you talk to her, she's running that group. and people join it from outside of Atlanta, outside of Georgia State, and it just gives you more performance opportunities. And it's
Absolutely.
right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for surviving until the very end of the masterclass. So